we're going to talk about dominant 7th chords. And we're just going to look at the D7 dominant 7th chord. And what we use with this chord we can apply to every other dominant 7th chord. And the idea that I use is sort of a scale of target notes within a larger 8-note scale. And the target notes that I use are the notes of the D7 chord. D, F sharp, A, C. And you should learn how to play that arpeggio all through the range of your instrument. Very important. You have to know how to play those notes. If you're going to play over a D7 chord, you must know those notes. And in fact, you can use nothing but those notes. And to make them interesting, you can use approach tones, and you can play a nice little solo. Using nothing but those notes and a few approach tones. But there's a little more to it than that. There is what I call the outer scale, which is the D mixolydian scale. Now the D7 scale feels like it wants to go to G major. So we think of the mixolydian scale as in the key of G major. It has one sharp. It is D to D, just going D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D. It sounds like this. And most of those notes will actually fit pretty well with a D7 chord, except perhaps the G, the fourth of the chord. So most books will say, oh, well, you see a D7 chord. Well, just use the mixolydian scale, noodle around on that until you get good and you'll sound fine. Okay, or as a major way of working on one of these dominant chords, just use the mixolydian scale. The problem with that is you end up sounding kind of dribbling away, and you don't end up sounding like anything. There's no structure. However, if you use that mixolydian scale with the notes of the D7 chord as target notes, not only will it give some structure to your solo, but when you change chords, go from D7 to G, or D7 to G7, or some other chord altogether, D7 to E flat or something, okay, you can use those notes. Are very good for voice leading. They'll move right into the next chord very smoothly. So it's a good idea for many, many reasons to think this way, I believe. And to actually play a solo, I mean, you hit a D7 chord, just use the notes of the D7 chord. Get used to that. And then throw in the notes of the mixolydian. Now, of course, the only note that really won't work in the mixolydian is the G. However, you can make that work with a few approach tones, and we'll look at that in a second. Another thing is the dominant chords are all, D7 included, are all very forgiving. They'll take a lot of chromatic sounds, a lot of chromatic notes. In fact, you can play right through the whole chromatic scale and make it work as long as you can land on a reasonably consonant note. You can fill in other words, all the whole steps with half steps, and then you just run the chromatic scale, and it sounds pretty good. I'll play a little bit here. Hopefully it'll work. Let's see. Here it comes. It's going to be a D7 chord. I'll start with a C. F sharp. Okay, sounds pretty good. In fact, I can play on a chromatic scale. Okay, and I can play a G. Listen how bad a G sounds. Not very good. But if I ornament it with some approach tones, that sounds pretty good. And you can just use the whole mixolydian scale. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. And just play right through it. But the thing that gives it the structure again is this.